Okay, so here is a motor that somebody else had built, and then apparently they went to a shop to try to get something fixed where they said that it was leaking out the back, and you can see it was definitely leaking. In fact, it's all soaking wet still. But the first thing I noticed is the seal's not straight. So you see there's a big old gap here, and then it's flush here. So like the whole seal is literally sitting at an angle inside there. Besides that, an extreme amount of sealant that was put in between the flywheel and the crankshaft, which I think was holding the whole flywheel off. And then you can see it's grooved where the seal was kind of making contact, but look at all the extreme amount. It looks like Durco too, but as I wipe this, I'm getting lots of debris. There is metal and crap right here. And it looks like it's just junk right here. You can see right here, just crap. Not good. And this thing stinks too, like it got hot. I'm wondering if this rear is on the verge of locking up, or I guess we will find out. Let me get a little magnet and pull these guys off of here. Yeah, and the trough looks like it's all siliconed up. There you go. See, someone has used sealant around the bearing. That's not a chunk laying there. That's glued to the case. And then this one's plugged completely. And if I take the distributor and go back and forth, the rear main is actually moving. I know it's going to be kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can do this. It's not, you can't not see it. But if I put my finger here while doing that, I can feel the whole thrust of the rear main bearing moving with it. So that's another terrible thing. So I'm gonna stop right here and inform this customer. So, all right. Tricks of the trade: you can use torch, put heat to this guy here, heat over here, stuff like that. This is completely dry, this area, so I'm going to assume there's no crack going on over there. I put heat here, looking for it to basically oil to come out, and I don't see it. I see what looks like a crack, but I don't see any oil coming out of it. And then I put air pressure, so I got going into the valve cover here. I plugged that guy off, and then I had one plugged on there. It flew off. Oh, well, I had one on here, and then basically by doing that, I could see around this guy bubbling immediately. Just spraying some glass cleaner on it, and you can see the bubbling immediately around the plug here. It looked like I started to see on the main guy, but it was just the bubbles popping on there. It wasn't creating bubbles. This was definitely creating bubbles. No bubbles here. I really thought there was going to be, but there was nothing there. So, all right. Oh, and then I'm thinking of the aluminum cases where they got the drain back. This is a mag case. It doesn't have that. The aluminum ones come with a little drain back going off of there. So, all right. As you can see, this sure looks like a crack, but apparently it's a cast line. But boy, that's behind number 3 basically. And that's what I see, but there's no oil coming out of it. The oil wouldn't wash away. It would still be there, and it's not there. Boy, does that look like a crack. I'm putting heat and pressure to it and not getting nothing out of it. Alright. I got it all cleaned up. She's all dry now. So, only thing I can do about this, unfortunately, is just Durco it. Unfortunately, there's nothing more I can do. That was dictated when it was assembled, so I'm going to seal this guy up on the outside and hopefully it holds. I got it nice and dry so it'll grab a hold of it, but not much more I can do about that. And this guy here where it's Durco and rear main bearing, yeah, that's not much I can do about that either. So sometime. Got the shims installed, greased, whatever. Got the seal installed. Now I have to do the nasty part. Seal this all up, which realistically they shouldn't be leaking between the case and the seal. But I'm going to have to do it here and around this guy, because this guy was obviously leaking right here at this top corner, so I have to seal that up and then continue on down. I will also seal these guys up. That guy, that guy, and then that guy there. Alright. I did not build this motor and didn't use my sealant of choice, and I talked to the customer and he said, I think he said Permatex. I'm going to seal this thing up like crazy, because I think there's going to be problems with this no matter what. So I went really thick there. You don't typically need to do this, but I went ahead and did it super thick and went ahead and sealed up. I didn't see any air coming back up here, but just in case, I don't know what, again, how this guy sealed it up or anything like that, but he said Permatex. Typically I always do these though. I do seal those up even on brand new motors. So all right, here's a different problem. It'll show up on camera, but that's clean. And that's the surface that mates up against the flywheel shims. There you go. That's dirty down inside there, but the outer edge, this area here, you can see. Oh, it looks better without the light, but you can see the galling there. So I'm going to have to chuck this up and polish that. I ain't using it like that. Now we can see it pretty good. And you can see out here, looks like we have another one here, which is, I think, from the seal not being installed properly. It was rubbing way out here, so the seal was not deep in the case, basically. But so we're gonna fix this surface and fix this. Getting there, getting close. This one's so much better on the outside now, and then that's starting to, basically it's like welded on, so I'm taking away you see the light colored material. So I polish this up and basically polish this up. Look at my fingers. Basically used an old crankshaft polishing belt and sat there with it. Now I don't feel it no more, but you can see where they were at, but I don't feel it, so I'm going to call that good. And this is nice and smooth now, so it's pretty. Probably doesn't show up on camera, but it's pretty. All right, let's get her back. It's going back on, and you're like, what happened to it? You know, it's greased up, so this makes contact with the flywheel shims, and this makes contact with the seal, so I always grease them up before you put them back together. But let's get her on. I know what you're saying, hey, wait, there's no seal in there. You're going to put it on with no seal? I'm actually going to take Durco and put it in right here. I don't use the O-rings. I use Durco engine sealant when I do them. And no, I don't have any problems at all. All right, let's get it back together. And although, I don't know if you can see it, it was surfaced. I just cleaned it. It was like oily, greasy, but it's got a little bit of glaze to it. I did put in, grease the needle bearing and then put in a new seal. Torqued her down. You're like, how much do you torque it to? I torqued this one down to 450. There you go. Back together. Next.